Hello YouTube, it's Annabelle56 here, and I'm going to be doing a video on vampires post Anne Rice. Because as we all know, vampires have changed dramatically since Anne Rice. Okay, I recently compiled my own list of the top 20 vampires ever created, with some notable mentions. This is my list. It's not exclusive, but I started with Dracula at 20 and worked my way around that. And then what I realised was that most of these vampires were post Anne Rice, so I thought I would do a YouTube video on this. Okay, Anne Rice's book, Interview with the Vampire, was the first book that actually told the story from the vampire's perspective. So in it, the vampire being interviewed is Louis, and he tells about how he became a vampire and who his maker was. Obviously, that's Lestat, and their daughter Claudia. It is phenomenal, as are all of her books. She's currently redoing the werewolf in literature, but this was the first book that actually looked at what it was like to be a vampire from the vampire's perspective. And most of the modern vampires that I will be discussing are more human-like and less monster-like in appearance anyway. So Anne Rice was the first one to do that, and her most famous creation is Lestat, Louis and Claudia, and there are several others like Armand and various other vampires in her series. Okay, the next one that I think is phenomenal is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This series is phenomenal. It's a cultural hit, as is its spin-off Angel. It started in 1997, same year that Harry Potter was first book of Harry Potter was released, which is incredible, really. This series is also responsible for regenerating Doctor Who, because Rose Tyler, the character, is actually modelled on Buffy. Captain Jack is clearly some kind of angel hybrid thing going on. There are a lot of modern Doctor Who companions are based or semi-based off some of the Buffy characters. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the vampires. Okie dokie. The most famous vampire from Buffy is, of course, Angel. Buffy and Angel Forever. I love that. Love that. Takes me back to season 3. Wonderful. Okay, we all know the drill. 200-year-old vampire falls in love with a slayer whose, purpose in life is to kill. Okay, creating the wonderful vampire that is Angel and Angelus, which is a development from Louis, because in Interview with the Vampire, Louis, during his guilty moments, feeds on rats, when Angel also spent some time, when he regained his soul, fed on rats. So you've got a clear development of that concept. You've also got the Master. He's in a more traditional sort of Dracula mode, because in the beginning of the Dracula books and also the film and the original by Bram Stoker, Dracula is looking very much like this, but human blood changes him and becomes more human. Well, for the Master in Buffy, that didn't happen. He is also, I made him 19 on my list. Angel. There's Spike for you. Loving the Spike. If we can ever find Angel again, I'm doomed. Anyway, Angel, I made him 5 on the list, and Spike is my number 4. Sorry, it's not going to go in any chronological order at all, just so you know, but I'm kind of doing it in an order. Of course, we've got the famous Drusilla and Spike and Darla. If I can find them. See, there's the picture I wanted. Yay, mark your books before you do a video. We have learned, but hey, hey. This is an awesome book. It's The Making of the Slayer, the Official Guide by Nancy Holder. Awesome book. Recommend it if you are a Buffy fan. Some really, really young pictures. I'll do a nice flick through for you. That's a cool picture. Yeah, there's some later series pictures, some Avengers stuff. Really, really cool stuff going on. Look at that, season 1. Wow, it takes me back. So yeah, it is absolutely awesome. And the vampires in this just are amazing. Spike, love Drusilla, such a brilliant character. Shame that I felt that she was sometimes underused, mostly because she was a bit mad. And Darla, beautiful female vampires that are very much human and relatable in this mould. Okay, so we've discussed those two. Next comes, this is Trueblood. Got all of the books here, if they would stand up for me. So these are all my Trueblood books. Here, the first one being Dead Until Dark. That is the best, I think, of the whole series, Dead Until Dark. And this one here, the Touch of Death mini things. The books are brilliant, but they're very much about Sookie. Trueblood, the actual HBO series, is phenomenal and amazing and just expounds, and in some cases actually better than the books, because it just makes round the world. There are more characters to play with. Bill, awesome. I know he's getting a lot of hate at the moment, but that is all going to change in season 7. Herrick, everybody loves Herrick. Pam, isn't she wonderful? Tara, the journey she's gone from season 1 is just phenomenal. And of course there's also Nora, Willa, newer vampires. Godric, the vampire god, he's awesome. And I've actually put on my list, I've got Godric as number 2, Herrick as number 3, Bill is 6, Pam is 9, Jessica Hamby is 13, Drew and Darla 14 and 15 respectively from Buffy. Lewis is 11, Claudia is 12, Russell Edgington is 16, Tara. There, so yeah, I will go through the whole list. Trueblood just develops it. You've got the same kind of background like William the Bloody and Angel and Darla and Drusilla. You've got the same kind of historical background, but here you actually have, you know, Loretta. Awesome characters with history, and it's just brilliant the way that it's all come from the development of this. Okie dokie, on to something that a lot of people don't like to talk about. Trueblood is still going. This last season will probably air maybe end of 2015 most likely. Okay, a lot of people don't like Twilight in regard to the vampires in it, because they don't behave like vampires. Well, and people think that vampires shouldn't sparkle, or walk in the day, or not feed on human blood. But that's what makes Twilight brilliant, is you take the traditional notion of a vampire and you completely turn it on its head, and it allows you to explore a concept in a new and exciting way. And yes, people might find, oh, it's a love triangle, it's a boring story, but it's revolutionised the way we look at vampires. I mean, who'd have thought a Mormon woman could do it? And who'd have thought that a Mormon woman's book would lead to one of the best-selling erotic fictions of our current times, 50 Shades of Grey series? You know, madness. But there you go. I like the Twilight because it changes the vampire mythology. You know, so many times everybody knows, oh, look, garlic, a steak, you cut off its head, or you get a silver bullet or a silver stake, or, you know, this or that, and it's revolutionised it. It really has. I mean, and the fact that they can have different gifts, I really, really think that a lot of people moan and complain, oh, they're not violent enough, blah, 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 and all of this. I think that's just a load of twaddle. It's completely unique, and that's what a good writer does. Admittedly, the plot could be better, but the concepts are excellent. Don't knock them. Really don't knock them. It's an exciting new twist on it, I think, because it opens up so many doors. Because very much like the Vampire Diaries, which I don't really know very much about, you know, but I believe they have a ring that can make one of them, Damien or Stefan, walk in the sunlight. Cough, cough, not a rip-off of Buffy, because Spike and Angel had a ring that could do that. You know, but in Twilight they don't. Anyway, moving on, I'm going to talk about this. Okay, child vampires. We've had the wonderful Claudia from Interviewing a Vampire. Brilliant. Brilliant. Goes from a 6-year-old child to a mature woman trapped in a 6-year-old's body. And it's a wonderful journey for the character to explore. Ends in tragedy, as we know. Not going to tell you how, but it's awesome. But this, Let the Right One In. Let Me In. This is in English, translated from the original Swedish. And that's the writer. This is an awesome book. This is the actual Swedish movie, Let the Right One In. Please do not get Let Me In, because this is the book copy that has the Let Me In Western movie version of it. Don't bother with that. See this one. It's wonderful. It's subtitles. It's sublime. It's brilliant. I love it. You know, the fact that a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, it's awesome. What is a relationship? How is a relationship? Brilliant. And I've actually got Ellie as number 1 on my vampire chart, which I'm actually going to go through with you now. Number 1 is Ellie, 2 is Godric, 3 is Herrick, 4 is Spike, 5 is Angel/Angela, 6 is Bill, 7 is Bella, and 8 is Edward. And I've included Bella because she does become a vampire. And I actually wanted to have those 2 high up, but not too high, because I felt that they did have a place here. 9 is the wonderful Pam from Trueblood. 10 is Lestat, because I didn't want to knock him off his pedestal too much. 11 is Louis. 12 is Claudia. 13 is Jessica from Trueblood. 14 is Drew from Buffy. 15 is Darla. 16 is Russell Edgington. He's an awesome character. 17 is Tara. 18 I actually summed up the Cullens, because I just couldn't pick which one to actually put. But I just wanted to have the rest of the Cullen family represented, aside from Edward and Bella, because the concept of them is just so infuriatingly great, even though it grates some people. 19 is the Master from Buffy, and 20 is Dracula. Notable mentions, I've got the Vampire Diaries vampires, like Damien and Stefan. I know a lot of people are going to complain, why aren't they on here? And they're not on here because I don't know very much about them. Never read it. Never will. I've got Trueblood that fulfills my werewolf/witches/vampire/fairy need. I don't particularly want another teeny bopper series, because it's not going to be as brilliant as Buffy. Sorry. I've also included notable mentions Nora, Willa and Blade, as played by Wesley Snipes in the Blade trilogy, because I feel that, yes, he was good, but technically he's not a vampire. He's a human vampire hybrid. I've included Nora and Willa under notable mentions because 1, Nora wasn't around long enough, and 2, Willa is a new vampire, and I'm sure that those 2 will go up the scale, which possibly may mean that, you know, I think maybe Jessica should look out or something, but I just wanted to have them there. I think they will always be in the notable mentions category. But yeah, I really wanted to look at the idea of vampires since Anne Rice, because Interview with a Vampire was published it was first published in Great Britain in 1976. So this is pretty old now, considering, which is kind of scary, really. And, you know, I just think it's incredible, because the development and the change, and then the fact that we've now got 12 and 13-year-olds that can do vampires really, really well. Ellie is awesome. The fact that the vampire has become more personal, because Let the Right One is about relationships. It's about what it means to be a bully. It could be, it's a high school, it's almost kind of a weird version, a horrific version of a high school musical in a way, without the singing. It's about the fear of puberty and all sorts of things. I just think what it means to be an outsider. I love that concept. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'm sorry if you're a fan of the Vampire Diaries. I just don't know very much about it.